This conversation story piece of content has literally been almost 2 years in the making.
It has. We've done this. But we've yet to do all of this.
I know.
So let me ask you this. Hold on. Do we pretend none of this is here do this?
You're gonna forget all of this is here in a few minutes.
Okay.
As long as you focus
I could be like
on
a
this.
rock star, and I could do like a sort of like a. Okay, just me.
Yeah, that comes later.
Like we always do.
Yeah, that comes later.
Okay.
Yeah, in the same way that, I showed up to all 3 times under the auspices of we're recording an interview for a Prince story.
This is it.
And now I know that was one of those loose ends that I was like, I feel so bad. I kept telling him I was going to write a story, and then I just jettisoned the newspaper.
You knew that you couldn't write what the people need to see.
It just makes the most sense. Like, and to be fair, this was all born of a comment section on Instagram where you had been trying to reach out again obliquely for whatever reason.
Trying to get free pub, baby.
Yeah, I know. I get it. But those things somehow never reached me.
No.
But it was on there and I didn't even see it. It was on that story. We were shy of Food Writer back in the day, and I thought it'd be funny to review strip club food. So I had a friend of mine who's an excellent writer who didn't know it go out, and I gave him this absurd assignment, and he teed it off, and it did really well. And then Berlin, I remember it right as rain. She messaged me on like Friday night, and we're like, are you seeing what's happening in the comments? This is just ridiculous. Who is this person? Honestly, the music's pretty funny.
100%.
And so I listened to that. So you happen to have literally just within weeks released this record.
And I was like, hey, everybody, I had like 200 followers max, right? My mom, pretty much just my mom and her burner accounts. Mm-hmm. But so I said, hey, everybody go comment on the section. They just did a story about a strip club. Yeah. And we have a song about a strip club. Go say, hey, it would go good with this. And sure enough, it worked. We talked that night. You were movie night.
Yes, sir.
And you're like, I had to call you because I've heard it. And it's pretty funny. Let's do a story.
Yeah, it was great. I was like, it'll be easy. And then we got together at Big Friendly. And you and I are both beer aficionados. So, I had the recorder in pocket, but I'm pretty sure, we closed that place down.
We've done that a few times.
Yeah, exactly. We're very good at closing places down, but not actually like staying on track.
But this is good.
Now we're trapped.
Got it.
Like it has to be done.
Well, let's do it.
It is occurring. Okay. So to this point, again, that was one of the sticking points was, do you have a show coming up? And again, a little more inside baseball. Clark here actually got looped into because of the conversation and its absurdity and offered to shoot your first Option Ego show or second? It was your second.
It was let's think about that. Technically, it was the first real show.
Right.
Yeah.
But you had actually made a debut. You'd played it to your friends. And then this one, you absurdly, because you're friends with James Vu, had convinced him to let you, after dinner service concluded, to play your show at La Braza.
That is right.
Yeah.
But in his defense, like he's had Post Malone. I mean, people have played that place before.
I'm not arguing that.
I know. So I was like, let's do it.
Any of us who have been around for a minute at all remember Robotic there. So it was just weird being in that space. But there are people dressed up nicely, enjoying their Saturday night, finishing up their meals. And it just bled into this ridiculous piece of performance art. And I don't know, again, I'm laughing the entire time because I love like absurdities where people are like thrown into jokes that they didn't necessarily know they were going to be in on.
I love that. And I think that's what this whole thing has been about, right? It's like, hey, we're about to flip your world. If it's for an hour, if it's for 5 minutes until you turn it off or whatever, but we're going to flip your world for a minute. You're going to be sitting there in a setting where you never thought you'd hear, I'm not gay, I just like to dance with men. And you're going to go, wait, did he say that? And then did he say, I think my Uber driver is trying to fuck? Like, what is this music? Like, and it's catchy enough to be bad, to be great.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And as a kid who grew up in this city, going to the rec room, especially goth industrial nights. And that was my first exposure. You know, it's all in the news right now about drag queens and all this. And I'm like, honestly, I was just trying to hear Skinny Puppy and Ministry be played over loudspeakers anywhere outside of my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I met all these fantastic folks who were just like living their life and, you know, very supportive of you being who you were. Honestly, no discussion of anything outside of like individual like expressiveness and identity as far as aesthetic ever occurred.
I know.
So whenever you release a song like that, as a guy who has like a dedicated soft cell fan, like I have so much obscure
Of course you
Gary.
are.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
So much obscure Gary Newman footage or trivia.
Gary Newman's great too, though.
Dude, Gary Newman's responsible for so much music that other people don't know. But anyway, to be the kind of guy who always preferred going to, you know, gay bars or at least kind of, I don't know, I call them misfit bars around here.
Sure.
Like the high-low, where you can walk in and you can absolutely hear something that people would belt out at, you know, a drag show alongside something that you would never have heard outside of what, Thursday nights at the rec room between 90 so and 00 somewhere in there. It's just a weird transition.
It is.
But I felt that song, you know, and especially, and now we have to kind of like take it through the lens of everything else that's happened in culture and kind of know where, you know, you're making a joke versus where you're actually being shitty.
Yeah.
But especially even in that song, the only butt of the joke is you.
Yeah. So all of my songs, I try to be the butt of the joke, right? It is vulgar music, and I'm the first to admit that. But it is not overtly offensive music, right? Unless I take offense to calling myself most of the things that songs 1 through 9 call myself. Song 10 is not really Option Ego, but Option Ego, he kind of does his own thing on songs 1 through 9. And song 10, I get to kind of what I thought was put that whole music career to bed.
Flesh that out. Tell us more about song 10.
Man, song 10, and someday I would love to like show you guys. So I recorded me recording everything I've ever done, right? It's weird because I've got cans on, so you don't hear the music. You just hear like a guy screaming in a homemade studio. But man, song 10 was called the outro, where I was like, dude, I'm going to do one more show and I'm going to do one more album. And I'm going to end my, what I call a failed music career on my own terms. And there are parts when you hear it without the music where my voice cracks because Justin, who you're talking to, which is not Option Ego, he just kind of came through and he was like, man, I'm 40. I'm done. I'm done. But at least I'm done before I got in a plane crash and made me famous. Like, I'm saying I'm done, guys. Like, I've done music a long time. You know this, man. Mm-hmm. I've done it a long time. And then I just quit. I just quit for years. And I was like, so to get back to the whole ego thing, man, 1 through 9 is like this flamboyant, crazy guy. But on the outro and on the second album, the intro, I'm so smart. That's where Justin gets to finally sing on these records and say, oh, this is why I did this, man. This is my passion.
100%.
And my passion is making people laugh, Dinger.
Funny how that turns out. It's the same thing. Like I've always, anything I can use as a punchline, I will. But my tendency is towards very, very dark humor. And, you know, I like antagonistic comedians as well.
Of course you do.
And I learned by being the editor of this newspaper that necessarily isn't everyone's favorite thing, or they don't get the joke, especially when it's so dry that they don't understand it's a joke.
That's right.
And you just seem like you suck. So, you know, I've always say that kind of my social media presence has always been a dark avatar of reality. Sure, yeah. I'm saying those things, but I'm like, even some of my close friends are like, dude, I will not mess with you on the internet because that is just, it's too far. Like it's a caricature beyond caricature to the point where you're not someone I want to know.
You are so right.
And so conversely, even from the other side of that, I'm listening to the entirety of the record, songs 1 through 9 of Option Ego. And there's some parts even I'm like, this guy's a fucking asshole. Like, I don't necessarily want to know this guy.
Yeah.
And then you do the intro and you're like, hey, it's all really been a joke. You know, I'm 40 years old. This is just a lark. I've been doing this a long time. I just felt like I had this one in me. And it does. It feels like an independent magnum opus.
Thank you.
If you will.
I don't know if that's a compliment.
It is.
But thank you. No. Yeah, that was the reason for it. You know, between getting older and COVID, I mean, you know this. We've talked about this before where it's like, dude, no one wants to hear me sing a love song anymore.
Sure.
I don't know a breakup song anymore.
Sure.
So what am I going to write about, right? I like having a good time, but how do I have a good time? Man, I've had a good time in the back of an Uber. I've had a good time dancing with my bros. I've had a good time at weddings, Wedding Rager. Man, so all these songs from that album were just like, let me write some non-serious stuff and let me make the music part of it. Like, I get called the DJ a lot. It really upsets me. Oh, it upsets me so bad, Digger. Only because I don't even know how to DJ. The show that you came to at La Brasa, I remember asking DJ Vince LaPeltier, I go, what do you do? Because this was my first like big show with this whole thing with the computers and everything. What do you do if a computer goes down? And he goes, we don't use computers. It's like kind of all the hardware's built into this. And I go, oh, as I'm opening up my laptop, right? So I don't know how to DJ. So that's why I take offense to that. Now I play, I write, I record, I produce every part of everything that I play. That being said, I don't have a drum set in the studio. I play it all electronically. I'm not saying I'm some virtuoso, but I am far from a DJ just because I don't know how to do it. I want to be a DJ. If anybody knows how to teach me how to be a DJ, call me or hit the www.optionego.com. Thank you. Back to the show. Sorry. I really want to be a DJ. This is my way of like reaching out.
That's the funniest part to me is like listening to it. And it's so well done. You know, again, everything is kind of tightened in. And this comes from someone who like adores this music. When everyone looks at me, they're like, oh, I'm sure you listen to a lot of metal. Go to a lot of punk shows. I'm like, well, I do go to a lot of punk shows, but that's for the atmosphere, not the music.
The key to Dinger's heart is a synthesizer.
Absolutely.
I've always said it.
It's a pop hook. And so that's what I love about it is I'm like, this is obviously someone who knows music extremely well making these jokes. And I'm glad you brought up Wedding Rager because that I think in and of itself is probably the most offensive a character on its own. So how much of that is real and how much of that is just you being there, being Justin, quiet, sitting at a table, dressed up in a way that you probably wouldn't dress on a Friday or Saturday night, behaving yourself.
That's funny you say that. So it is very offensive. So I tried to count and I put this challenge out there. I'll give some free swag. I've counted 165 F words in Wedding Rager, preface with mother. I've counted 165. I think there's more than that, you know, for people who haven't seen me, I loop a lot of stuff. So like I'm the Wedding Rager mother. That's in the background constantly. So if you're trying to count the F words, it's in there. And like I said, 165 is where I'm at. I think there's more than that, but there is a lot of truth to that. If I'm showing up to a wedding, I'm raging.
Fair.
I am raging. Fair. And if I'm not raging, I'm taking a video of the guy who is, and I'm writing about that guy or myself.
Some of my worst, like fake rock, I'm not a rock star, never been in a band, but rock star behavior where I act up has always been at wedding receptions.
Oh my God.
Just because it's so stilted. And I'm like, and you're such a good friend. Then I'm like, I'm not going to do anything that's going to end our friendship, but I am going to do things that your family's going to talk to you about.
Who was the really good looking guy named Matt?
Oh yeah, that's been a problem all my life.
I get it all the time, brother. Don't worry. Only not Matt.
That would be even more awkward. So again, yeah, you just show up and do that. Same thing with Dance with Men. I can totally see you going out literally as a married man with 2 children.
Yes, 2. Yeah.
All right.
So I have a funny story about Dance with Men. I was in Denver, Colorado for my regular job working. It's 6:30 in the morning. I'm walking down 16th Street Mall, which has been totally overcome with homeless. And 2 homeless guys walk by and it's like, hey, man. I'm dressed up, I'm at my regular job, They were probably dressed up too, for what they wear. And they go, hey, man, if the gay bar is still open? It's 6:30 in the morning. I go, man, I'm not sure. I did know. And it's always open.
Really?
Okay. Maybe. I don't know.
Right,
I made that last part up. No, but I was like, man, I'm not sure. And the guy, seriously, 2 homeless guys. This is where the song came from. And I'm so glad you asked this. The guy goes, we're not gay. We just like to dance with dudes. And I go, oh my God. This is before Option Ego, anything. This was probably 5 years ago. I was like, oh my God. That is the funniest thing that anyone has ever said. Hey, dude, by the way, like he wanted me to know that they were not gay. They just like to dance with guys. And I go, hey, man, shit. Y'all let me know if it's still open.
Dude, there's a lot of truth to that. That's what I'm saying. Some of my most fun times and like literally being able to cut loose.
Just with your
environments
with
like
your buddies,
that.
Man. I know.
Exactly.
I know.
And like, I don't know, being a straight dude, like I felt like, I don't know, there felt more pressure doing that anywhere else. Whereas a gay bar, every time I've ever been there, it's been extremely welcoming and people just like having fun. Like it's the same with karaoke. I've never done karaoke. I can't imagine walking into a sports bar or even one of the bars that I frequent, a dive like that and doing karaoke. But if ever I was going to do it, it'd be something ridiculous at a venue like that for no other reason than I feel like, I don't know, I kind of like camp as well. And it's a little over the top and I'm a terrible singer. So I'd have to make up for this with just over the top antics. Meanwhile, you can actually hold a tune, a note.
Thank you.
And do these things. So why are you relying so hard on comedy when you're a talented musician who can do what you do?
Thank you, first of all. But also, man, my goal in life, like I said earlier, is to make people laugh. And it's not to, man, we got these young guys like the Zach Bryans in Oklahoma guy. These guys are doing the whole love song thing and they're doing like the real life metaphor thing. That being said, I write all the time. Sure. And I write serious stuff that I know that Option Ego will never be able to perform. But for the most part, I'm looking for something to where, and my demographic is very, very like, very small, right? It's like that 30 to maybe 50. I'm not going to write a song that a 22-year-old is going to listen to, right?
Sure.
Because I can't relate to that.
Right.
So why force that and try that instead of just being like, hey, I've called myself a failed musician millions of times.
Including in the outro.
I am a failed musician. So why try to make it now?
Well, I mean, it depends on how you define failure. Again, if you were bad at making music, you wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be listening to this shit. I wouldn't be talking about it. I'd be like, oh, this dude was in the comments. Nice try. Oh, yikes. Yeah. But what makes it work is that it's actually good.
Thanks, man.
And then I happen to meet you and I'm like, oh, you're actually a decent person too. So I'm gonna give you a chance to prepare your answer to this because you've released an EP of music that is serious, that is very, very good in the interim. Oh. Yeah, that's wonderful. But let's talk about why you chose Option Ego as a vehicle while you had that on the back burner, or did those two tend together?
So in order to write the Option Ego stuff, I'm not sure I can answer that. Have you ever peeled an avocado?
Not once in my life.
Depends how ripe it is. Cut a little of the skin. That's all right. You peel back that fucking skin. And you fucking grab the avocado, right? Tear it in half. Which side is the seed on? The seed is my song. I take a knife. Song. Throw everything away. Everything you used to eating on an avocado. I don't eat. This is my song. Okay, I guess we're back. Sorry about that, man.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
So about this EP in contrast too, did this kind of get pushed across the finish line because you did Option Ego and you were excited about it, or did its time just come?
So that EP is like 9 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
It's got so many rewrites. My musical partner in Denver would be like, oh my God, I never want to write with you again, probably, because it took that long. But he's a perfectionist, and with this kind of stuff, so am I. So that EP was fun only because it kept getting rewritten. I mean, I would love to have you over. If you pick a favorite song from that EP, I will play you 19 versions of that song.
I like
with different
that,
lyrics, same music. We always put the music down. So that's like my writing partner on the Royal Antlers stuff is very musical, and he's got a beautiful studio in his home, and he writes this great stuff, but he forgets that we need to put lyrics and a melody in there. So then that's my job. And then he and I agree, like, that kind of sucks. This sounds pretentious. This sounds bad. This sounds good. Let's keep that. But so now I'm writing a song that isn't forced, but it's perfected, right? So it's like, and that's something that Option Ego does not do. He goes in there and he'll Google what rhymes with titties. You know, I mean, that's how this guy writes. I mean, I'm serious. This dude is so nuts. I mean, the words that he wants to rhyme with, like I've rhymed my whole life with love, hope, and danger. And this guy is writing pussy, gay, loser, dick. I mean, so we're just two totally different people, man. We're totally different people.
But again, you know, not to hark back to Dance with Men too much, but it almost feels like that aside in there is very like Pet Shop Boys. Driven.
Oh,
like
yeah. I can see that.
It definitely has that vibe. But at the same time, I feel like you're actually a fan of the kind of music that you release as Option Ego. So maybe by interjecting comedic lyrics, like you get to do a kind of music you haven't always done before, but you don't have to sit there and rework it and overthink it like you have with Royal Antlers. Or with the previous band you were in, where, you know, you were just a member of a team.
That's right.
And, you know, you guys kind of workshop things on your own, but you were also kind of jam bandy, right?
Yeah. That band out on the East Coast was very jam bandy. Good stuff. Great musicians. You could, and you could plug in myself and a lot of other people. When you're that good of a musician, you can do that. That band was great. But you're right. It's like a guilty pleasure with this Option Ego stuff. That's like, I'm in a Cure or Duran Duran mode, and I'm listening to that, and I'm like, man, I wonder if I can make my keyboard make that same sound as that song. And so I'll go do that, and I'll be like, all right, well, I can't write something too serious. And then I just kind of transform. How do I transform? I just, I channel famous Oklahoma musicians, you know? Probably the best one is, honey, why you calling me? so late. And then I just write.
And that's, again, what I love about it. Again, it feels like it's just kind of, in a sense, you can be more bare and revealing there. Like there's a session musician you, there's the professional musician you, and then there's the you enjoying making music. But again, I don't know, like it feels in a way like, and again, you're good at comedy. Like you and I have all got along because we would just bounce jokes back between each other. Weren't able to actually ever get down and interview proper because we're just riffing on each other while we're talking.
So do you know that you actually, for all of you, he admitted tonight that he has not seen or listened to the second album all the way through.
Correct.
But so the second album is a total flip of the white album was the first album. The black album is a play on words of every song. Mm-hmm. It's different music. It's different lyrics, but it's the same joke. Mm-hmm. So you are actually responsible for one of the songs on there.
I don't know.
I've never told you this. This is happening. Look, he's nervous. He hadn't even heard it. Jesus Christ.
Dude, I have such an affinity for that first record. And it's, I don't know, man. You know, in this world, it's been a wild year. I haven't necessarily been in the mood, but do go on.
Okay. So Sad Song was replaced with, wait for it, Happy Song. Okay. Yeah, very good. One of the, I think it was the second time we hung out, we were talking, abortion had just become illegal here in Oklahoma. We were talking about it, and we were both agreeing that it's kind of crazy that the same people who want that to be illegal are the same ones who like don't want you to take your guns. And you actually said that same line. So I wrote in Happy Song, there is a whole like little section about like how like, hey ladies, if you want an abortion, you have the right. And I say, before the right wing hates me, I'm not done. Hey, Democrats, I dare you to take their guns. And then I go, well, I just made everybody happy. That's the only way to make everybody happy, right?
Right. But, yeah.
So you're on the second album. You should fucking listen to it.
Of course, I'm very self-absorbed. So, you know, now that I know that I'm a part of it, I absolutely will.
This is water, by the way.
Oh, yeah. 100% water.
Yeah.
Yeah. You drink yours with ice. I, in a European style, just go straight in.
You're so Euro.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, tell me more about this band you were on the East Coast. And again, weirdly enough, you're the person I've known probably the shortest length of time of any episode that we've done so far.
Yeah.
But conversely, I've asked you more about your background, so I actually kind of know where you came from.
Sure.
So you're in what I would consider a jam band on the East Coast.
Yeah. So,
and then hang on. Let me see if I can follow the thread here.
Okay.
And then moved to Denver with your wife, who you met on the East Coast. And then you started a family in Denver and relocated to Oklahoma City. And then at some point, how many years after you arrived here? I mean, for all the stalkers out there, I'm going to give it away. In the Wheeler district where Third Floor Studios comes from, how long had this pressure cooker been building between being a touring musician and throwing down these Option Ego tracks upstairs, which in your house, I know for a fact, if you're on another floor, people really can't hear you.
Dude, that's good shit. Fucking Oprah Winfrey over here. What am I going to donate to Maui next? Man, it was bubbling up. I think it's been bubbling up for a long time. I moved to Oklahoma City in 2018 back. And yeah, we have this third floor where I go up there, and between turning 40 and COVID and just the world kind of just being a shitty place for a while, I was like, I got to get out of here, man. I always say this, and I think I may have even told you this. Like there's this meme from The Sandlot. The Sandlot, kids, was a movie back in like the early 90s.
I saw it in the theater. I actually got kicked out of my house.
Of course you
for
did.
a baby shower, I think.
Yeah,
And got
of
sent
course
to
you
the
did.
theater. In Sandlot. No shade.
So there's a meme of all those guys, and it says, I forget what it says. Something like, at some point you went out with your childhood friends to play for the last time and no one knew.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that and being like, oh my God, that's how my music career was. This is all dinger. This was my life. This is how I met my wife. This has traveled me all over the United States. And now I just don't do it.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that meme, that mixed with COVID and just the world politically just being a weird place. I needed to get out, man. I needed to just laugh.
Yeah.
And take the stress of being a dad, a husband, a person in this weird world that we live in. And just, I wanted to create this new dude that was just like an alter ego. An alter ego was taken, man. Control Alt Delete is what my Windows fans are used to. Uh-huh. So on a Mac, it's Command Option Escape. So the Alt is Option. So that's Option Ego. Alt Ego is taken. It's an alter ego. I'm sorry.
No, I remember it taking me a minute to figure that out. But yeah,
you figured it out. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, you're a Mac user. Well, number one, that automatically puts you on the outs of me.
You look good, by the way.
What?
You look good.
Well, thanks.
So I was going to wear that outfit, but today, episode 3 came out.
Yeah.
And the jujitsu, what is it? Not jujitsu. Is it taige?
Yeah, taige. It's jujitsu.
So I was going to put my hair up.
Oh, yeah.
He's got muscles. He's wearing a black I had a black t-shirt. I have it in my bag over there.
Yeah. And you also got a cheap sheet because you saw 3 episodes and you also
so now I'm in a collared shirt.
Have you ever seen me in anything but a black t-shirt with a pocket?
Oh, well, we can't answer that right now.
That's just how shut up. That's just how I show up. So,
you know who dresses really crazy? Ego. You saw him in the sequence thing at the LaBrossa show. You remember that?
No,
He was in the sequence.
That dude's a lot, man.
He's hard to live with. That's me. So, living room, my room, Ego.
I've only been on the first floor.
And that's all you're ever going to get.
Oh, shit. So he lives in the attic. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, some people call it an attic.
You know, the beautiful thing about shooting these things in a studio is the magic of we had empty drinks and now they are suddenly full. Thank you again for being here, my guy. So, how many decades of playing music? Obviously, as a multi-instrumentalist, as you mentioned before, you play everything on it. You do the vocals, the lyrics are all you. Then on down, the rhythm programming, keyboards, any guitar parts. Is there organic bass in it?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes the organic bass is even my voice. There's like there's software that I can go and it drops in an octave.
Yeah.
And so I can actually hum bass lines. Mainly what I do, and we talked about this off camera, is keyboard driven. So much so I'm so not technical, but I use technology, but I'm so not technical that even playing drums, like most of the younger crowd who understands how all this shit works, I don't. I'm just a musician. So they're like dragging in loops, right? To go.
Yeah.
I'm not that smart. So like I find a sound that I like, I go.
Yeah.
And I use technology to, if I'm off a little bit, I shore up the timing. But for the most part, my stuff, with the exception of guitar, a little bass, I have no drum set in my room, but I'm doing most of it with a MIDI keyboard, which, if you don't know what that is that's like a keyboard that you would type on. A J is not a J unless there's a wire telling the computer, when I hit this, hit a J. A MIDI keyboard is very similar. So I just say, hey, when I hit this, I want this to go. And when I hit this one, I want to go.
Yeah.
And this one, I go. So I'm playing it all because I know what my mind hears. But I'm not going.
Right. So you're more of, maybe this sounds overwrought or cheesy, but a conductor of a sequencer or sampler.
Kind of, yeah. And I think my knowledge of just the keyboard starting to go back to your question, like at 8 years old, man, I've played the concert piano. This was my life. So I relate, and we actually talked about this off camera as well. The strings. Being I went to the University of Oklahoma on a music scholarship, and the most frustrating thing is knowing theory and knowing everything about music, but your fingers not doing this.
Yeah.
In order to play the guitar.
Oh, I know.
The guitar's my arch nemesis, man.
That's what we had spoken about. I absolutely can't do that. While by the meantime, the first time a professional musician told me, like, oh, this obviously isn't your first time playing a piano, was when we broke in after hours to one of those little practice rooms at OU.
Yeah.
Where it's just tiny. It's like nothing. I don't know if they're even still there, but I just sat there and sat down and learned to play a sequence that I was asked to play.
So that being said, if you come up on stage with me, I will make that sound like a guitar, and you'll be the best fucking guitar player you've ever heard.
Which is great, because again, I love the sound of the bass, but there's something about actually doing those things.
So Ego is working on a show, a big show. And you know how he does, man. There is no improv. It is to a T. He even writes his own encores. You've seen this.
I have.
So there is a section on there where where he will be looking for crowd participants to play a keyboard.
Dude, I played guitar with Dave Kaiju at Grand Royale in the Plaza District.
But
3-4 months ago.
Have you played a MacBook with Option Ego?
I'm coming up. Like I've already cut my teeth on not knowing how to play music and being on stage. So now, I mean, it's second nature to me.
Okay.
If you need someone to push buttons and strum
but like a
strings,
magician, I am gonna say, have we ever met before? And you have to say no.
Wow. I mean, that's going to be a little hard after this little performance.
Well, if no one watches it.
Yeah, we could have done it 2 months ago, but now if anyone pays attention, we're fucked. So that being said, you do all the music on your own, but don't you have like a manager, like Smooth Move or Boss Sauce or something like that?
Please tell me you did not get his name wrong, dude.
No,
God, this is not going to be good. It's fucking Smooth Sauce, baby. Smooth Sauce.
Did we not lock the doors after we came in?
Hey, baby. Hey, no, we met before. You don't remember, do you?
Oh, I remember. I remember too well.
You can't forget, baby.
So how the hell did you get involved in this enterprise?
So you got to have somebody. I call it behind the scenes. You guys call it a manager. I'm not his manager. I'm his friend.
I mean, friend's a very heavy way of putting that.
Pantene. That's Pantene. Pantene Pro Vitamins. We're not sponsored.
Yeah. Are you sure you're not preventing him from more shows than you're booking him?
I brought you something. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, hold on. I brought you something. Hold on.
Oh, shit.
I brought you something, baby! You want to stay up for fucking 37 days?
I think I don't. But I certainly appreciate the gesture.
So that is one of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's one of 5 C's, okay? Here's what we do, Dinger. We do 5 C's. I call it the 5C program. We do communication. It's got to be first of all when we're booking a tour, okay? Communication. For Ego, I go computer. I go cables, all right? I twist those. I do West Side. So I got cocaine. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Communication. I got computer. I got cables. Cocaine. Cocaine. I do bring cocaine when I go. Not for me, for the fans. And number 5, I think I said I was 5. Did I say 4 or 5? 5 is condoms. Here's what those are for me. Those are not for Ego, by the way. The condom thing, what I do with the condoms is I turn off all the lights, okay? And then I I make the sound that I'm opening the condom. Nigga, this is what I do. I open up the condom. I do it like a balloon, like a stretching a balloon, and I never put it on. Sorry, dude. I have no control over that guy. I love him, and he has gotten me very far, as you can tell, in my career. But I am sorry. I didn't even know he was here.
I mean, that's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, it is.
You hire people on your team, and sometimes they're maniacs, but they do the job well.
That's the biz, baby.
Exactly. So now that he's gone, I guess my question to you is about like making these records on your lonesome. Is it easier to sit up and record these things on your own, mix them, release them to a public, since you actually have been a member of multiple touring bands over the last 2 decades?
Writing wise, it is. You get rid of a lot of opinions, but mixing and making it sound professional, it's not. And in fact, I put this out to a lot of people in Oklahoma. I will not name names, but no one would mix my music because of the content. No one. Now, if I don't know if it's Cardi B or who it is that did WAP or Wet Ass Pussy, they're famous. If they would have went to any of these places and said, "Would you mix this?" they would have done it.
Sure.
Once again, I'm not naming names, but no one would. So I found a guy who I loved his stuff in Germany to mix my music totally virtually. And so once I wrote everything, I can't make it sound good. I don't have the time to also learn to be an engineer.
Sure.
Right. So between my family and my job and my life, I can't also learn how to be a studio engineer. So this guy, he did it all for me, and he would send it and I'd be like, I don't like the way this is. And he would fix it. This guy's awesome. We've never met, but he is, his name's Axel. What up, Axel?
What does he normally work on? What kind of records?
Man, so a lot of like EDM, a lot of like smooth electronic stuff. He is amazing, man.
Okay.
And I send him certain, like, you guys are going to love this. So I sent him Justin Bieber. I was like, you hear how the vocals, you have to hear my words, right?
Yeah.
So these kids want to hear Justin Bieber's words. So I was like, make sure that you can hear the vocals, not because I'm a great singer, but because the jokes are in the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then once I got that, he was like, hey, you still have to get this mastered. And man, there is a local legend here. This is a shout out, Adam Chamberlain.
Okay.
So he was like, hey, dude, as long as it's not that offensive. So I sent it to him. He was like, yeah, I mean, like we talked about earlier, the jokes are on you.
Right.
Man, he made it sound like anything you would hear. That's why you guys like it. It's not it's actually not my music writing. It's not my lyrics. It's not even the mixing that Axel did. It's the fact that Adam took this and was like, oh, I hear what he's doing here.
Yeah.
And made it sound professional.
Yeah, it definitely does. Where it's like, it's not overproduced, but it is too produced.
Yeah.
For a dude who's recording on the 3rd story of his house down in the Wheeler district. Certainly is.
I wish to God that there is a creeper chick out there that is going to now go through the Wheeler district and search every 3rd floor and find me. The light on at 3 a.m. I'll be doing this.
Yeah. Well,
actually, this.
I'll give him a hint. It's within walking distance of the Big Friendly.
Spoiler alert.
Again, it just kind of lined up in a bizarre way where one of the subjects of your song was a result of, again, I was having trouble finding, we rebooted the Gazette as a print product on the fly. I was having trouble finding a food writer. And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if, in the interim while we were finding a food writer, we did songs about food and strip clubs.
Yeah.
And then you end up in the comment section. So in a weird way, like you being your own marketing, but also how is distribution working for you?
So yeah, now it's really so easy. And I say that not to downplay what I've done, but also to let anybody know that it is that easy, man. I use DistroKid. I don't know if we can say that. If we can't, just block that out. But I use DistroKid, man, and they get you everywhere. And there's upcharges, right? Do you want to?
Sure.
But here's the difference between me and everybody else. Not everybody else. Most people. I would rather have 100 people that like my music than 3,000 listeners or 3,000 followers. I don't give a shit about that, man. I'm at peace with my music. That's why I do this.
It's kind of in the outro.
It's in the outro. I'm at peace, man. So like, I would rather have, so I've been around 600 followers for a long time because people drop off because they were at one point, it was hip, maybe.
Sure. So you think, you old ass loser.
Old ass loser, yeah.
Just kidding. No, but I know. Like, I mean, honestly, to be completely blunt, if you and I hadn't developed a personal relationship in the same way that even though we have, I haven't listened to the second record in full or even
it's been
late,
on a long time.
But I've listened to that first one and played it to so many people.
I know you
that
have.
However many plays you have, I guarantee you I'm probably 10% or better of them.
You know what means more?
What's that?
Our friendship, dude.
Yeah, dude. Again,
look at us now.
We have accidentally.
Look at this place, dude. You guys have something here.
And that was the fun part too, was you had talked about doing a recording and I was like, oh, I happen to know someone. And again, this is the same period. This is all about 2 years out. And well, we'll just say like, it's no one's fault other than the fact that there is absolutely no light to illuminate you. And that set isn't burning it up on YouTube as we speak. It was a killer show. I had a lot of fun. It made the hair stand up on my neck as a fan. Again, I was laughing because I met James through you.
Yeah.
Very nice man. And obviously was like pulling a favor, but at the same time was like, there's going to be enough people here who care about this.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it again. Stay tuned. We're doing a big one. 3130. They'll film it. You'll be there.
I'm always there. Oh, no, that's not true. I guess your second performance. All right. This is a funny story that we haven't reached into.
We couldn't get out of it.
Yeah. Is that you ended up jockeying for a position at Carrie Chronics Awards.
Is that called jockeying?
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever you want to call it. But either which way, you won it. And you were performing there and I was unavailable and
you want to know, I texted you from the award show. Hey, they just called your name. I won. Of course.
Exactly.
I knew I was winning. That's why I showed up. You won. And you said, hey, get my award for me. I didn't.
I was going to say, did you go up and do that?
No, but you can't have mine. Actually, I love mine.
No, you keep yours. Yeah. And I wouldn't mind getting mine.
But I got to open for Twista.
Yeah, you did. Who honestly, I mean, if you're into rap as a technical matter, he absolutely murders it.
Can you keep a secret?
Go on.
He got mad during the show and he opened for me because he wanted to go on early.
Really?
And everybody left.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So I played the Criterion. My last show was at the Criterion. I'm kind of a big thing, but it was to nobody because Twista got mad.
And even I who was
don't say that. Yeah, keep that here.
We wouldn't do that. You wouldn't say that on camera if you didn't want it to be known.
Thank you.
Well, again, I was too
I love you, man.
I was big timing it too much to show myself.
Look at us.
Here we are. Thanks again for being here, my man.
Thanks, Maddie.